Hello everyone, welcome to History Forge. My name is Taylor Hamlin. I'm going to be going over how to edit a first draft today, but more specifically, not really my edits, but a peer edit. Every year I do this. I think peer editing is one of the best things students could be doing with helping each other out. And so I've been doing it all the years I've been teaching, and I really enjoy it. Luckily for me, I have been a part of the current district I work at for several years, and so I actually have some pretty decent relationships with high school students. So I actually asked them to come down and edit for me too. So I got a collection of high school students. I have a collection of my own students who are going to peer edit. The way that we do this is this thing right here. So if we look at this, I have all my projects on the left. See, this is project 1, got student names, project topic, and if I keep scrolling down, you see all the different projects. So these hyperlinks actually will take the students to the project. So if you're my students, what you do is you just pick any project you want. You click on this link right here, and it will take you to the project, which would look like something like that. Okay, so again, you're going to pick one. I do have spaces for everybody, so I have spaces for me too. So F and G are my actual current students, so these are peer edits, which we'll do over the next couple days. This one says Hamlin Proofreading. I'm going to go through a checklist and also edit things for people. And then finally we have History Day Veteran Proofreading. So this is the actual high school students who've gone through the History Day process already. You'll do in here. And what we'll do is we'll put our names. So for example, say that this one gets done by a student, Bob Meyer. Then that's what we'd write. Or this one gets done by another student. We write that down. Okay, so that's exactly how we'll do it. So we'll split them up that way. Everyone will probably, if you're my students, I'll try to get you to at least do 2. If you're my high school proofreaders, my goal is to get you to at least do 4 to 5, and then I'll do them all. And then we'll also send these out to parents too, so we should get a lot of good proofreading. Now, what we actually need to do to proofread, I'm going to give you some very simple steps to proofread. Is what I want you to focus on. There's a lot of different things you could do for proofreading, but I made a list of things I really want you to hyper-focus on, especially considering this is a first draft. These are the things that we really need to do, and I've tried to list them in importance too. So, very first one, I'll highlight here. I can't speak. I will highlight right here. At any point that you read through the project and you are confused, you should tell the creators of the project. That is the biggest tip I can give any of you. So this is the project. This is their thesis statement. If we scroll down, here's all their writing on the left. Basically, if you are confused at any point reading this thing, like if their sentence sounds funny or it's not structurally sound, like the sentence structure is bad, maybe they didn't introduce somebody and you have no idea who they're talking about. Maybe their primary source was not introduced well, like they didn't actually do any sourcing. You need to let them know that. You need to say hey, none of this makes sense. If you're doing this online, so if you're my current students, you'll do this online. You know how to do this. You do go highlight, click this button, and you can make a comment. Okay? Pretty simple. If you are one of my high school students, I'll be doing this on paper actually. So for you guys, all you really need to do is actually just write next to it hey, I have no idea what you're saying. But go beyond that. Actually tell them why you think you're confused and maybe how they could fix it. The more information you give them, the more likely they'll actually fix this stuff. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you. Next thing, does the project have a clear thesis? So remember, a thesis is an argument or the answer to our research question. Basically, they need their thesis should be in this box up here, and they should just tell you what the thesis is. That's it. So if you don't feel like they're making an argument, think about what a thesis should be. It should be an opinion. Should be something that they have to prove. If it just seems like it's a basic fact, then that's not a good thesis. If it just seems like it is made up or something that they couldn't prove, then again, not a good thesis. If it's too broad, for example, if they said the Civil War was important because a lot of people died, that's not a good thesis. That's very obvious, very broad. Now, if they said something like the Civil War was important because a lot of people died, which led to new developments in medical stuff, that's an okay, better thesis, but they still need to get more specific. So really, we want to make these theses very specific. So we'll look through them and try to just give them comments about it. Next one, main body of writing. Does the project have writing that supports the thesis? How well do you think the project supports the thesis? Going in through here in their writing. All their writing is down here in these boxes. Everyone's looks a little bit different, but they should have writing in boxes, and this is what you want to look for. As you read this, constantly go back to their thesis and actually make sure they're talking about their thesis. They should, several times in their project, say why their information proves their thesis. If they're not doing that, they're not doing a good job. Like, the entire point is to prove just like these 3 to 4 sentences. That's it. If they're not doing that, then they need to, and you need to let them know. Like, if you scroll through here and you're like looking and you're like, this piece of information doesn't seem to have any connection, give them a highlight. Say like, hey, this has no connection to your thesis. Can it be made better, or do you even need it? Okay, that's a good question to ask them. If they don't have a connection, then they either can make one or they need to delete that section. All right, so that's one part. Let's see, going to the next one. Section structure. Does the project have clear sections? Do these sections start with topic sentences that tell you exactly what the sections will be about? So it's, think about an essay. Every essay needs to have an outline, right? Those outlines need to have sections that support the thesis. So in the case of this writing doc, the outline's not very obvious because these are just boxes that go all the way down. So if you don't see like different topics in the outline or in their writing, you need to let them know that. Some are easier to identify. I'll show you a different one. We'll use, here, this one's an exhibit. We can use this one. I feel like I always use the top 3, so sorry to those students. Looking through this project, here we go. So we got their thesis right here, and this one's a little more outlined out because they actually have sections. So you see it says Section 1, American Triumph at Lexington. Section 2, American Tragedy at Lexington. So we understand these. Now here's the deal. If they don't have a topic sentence that introduces that idea, they need to. So you need to look through and actually make sure they have strong topic sentences. Going through to, do your best with the ones that don't have like big breaks. Just let them know if you see sections. If they don't, they need to add them. Let's see, going down to primary sources. This one's pretty easy. Do they have primary sources? Do they mention quotes? Do they mention things that happened from the past? If it's a documentary, they should have photographs. If it's an exhibit, they should be mentioning these things. They should be mentioning a lot of evidence, and so you want to be looking at that. If you don't know, you can look at their binders, along with, you're going to be doing this, but you're also going to be looking at project binders too, so you should have a lot of information. If you don't see their primary sources in the project, you need to let them know. Let's see, do they analyze primary sources? So they need to do more than just mention the primary source. If all they're doing is just mentioning things, they need to go deeper into it. They need to actually analyze a source and say why that source proves their thesis. Then finally, does the author support their information with sources? So just make sure as you're going through, if they seem like they have a lot of information and they're not backing it up with like photographs, with quotes, with diaries, letters, they need to. And you'll just, again, you'll make comments like this, or you'll just write it next to their paper. And then finally, a grammar check. Pretty obvious stuff. Just go through. If you want to check for plagiarism, you can. I will anyway, but if you want to just do me a solid and try, it's pretty easy to check for plagiarism. All you have to do is go in and say, for example, I thought this might be from a website. And here's the deal. Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, if you feel like this writing is way above what like an 8th grader or like high school student could do, then you might want to double check it. All you have to do is dump it into Google, hit paste. And if you see a Google result that has all black, like all bold, then it's plagiarized. So like this one, for example, this one's not plagiarized. Yes, it does have websites that show up bold, but you gotta think a lot of these words are common. We're looking for a website that has every single word bold. So for example, if this thing was all bold, then yes, they did plagiarize that and they need to get rid of it. Sometimes people just forget they used quotes, so don't think they're cheating right away. Just think that they might have forgotten. So don't call anybody out. Don't blame them. Just say like, hey, by the way, this comes from a website, so either put it in quotes or it's not your words and you'll get disqualified, so be careful. That'd be the best way to go about it. So again, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, feel free. And then the rest, just check for spelling, grammar, essay structure, make sure the word count's good. And I'll do a lot of this stuff too. But grammar is really the least of our worries right now. I want you to focus on these things. If you have time, feel free to go through grammar. All right, that is it for that stuff. Use the outline. I'll have more resources too for all my peer editors. So just watch this video and then read the resources I get, and I'll be around to make sure you use me. That's it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.